Morning, my Guardian Workshop here. A couple of things I wanted to talk about this morning. I don't know how long it's going to be, but hopefully pretty soon we can get back to building stuff and stop jacking our jaws here, but I tend to do that anyway. So, first thing I wanted to talk about is throwing my tinfoil hat into the ring. Lots of people are, have all their theories and ideas, and I had one last year, and I can't remember his whole name, but that North Korean yin fat little bastard, whatever his name is, whatever. So, try to get to the point. When he was putting up them rockets last year and whatever, of course, they weren't nuclear, they weren't hurting anybody, everybody thought. But who's to say that those first ones weren't tests for putting a virus in the jet stream? Now, what kind of got me thinking about this whole game was I'm pretty sensitive to chemicals and smells and things like that. Not that I'm some kind of superhero, because I ain't, but most people like, now I don't know about if you're living in the city you can tell or not, but especially out here in the kind of rural countryside, I can smell when spring's coming. Most people can, but I can also smell other things. I can't remember the month now because I didn't write it down, but anyway, it was, I want to say December, January, maybe it was even into February, but there was a strange smell in the air, and so here's my part of the excuse me, tinfoil hat deal. So we knew that last year he was putting them rockets up, and if you don't know it, air flows from China this direction into the west coast first. Now, whether anybody will admit it or whatever, like I said, it's my tinfoil hat and it's kind of screwed on tight. And it's just a possibility to think about. Now, let's say that last rocket that they put up, that Yin Fat, whatever his name is, and I want to say that was January, February, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It might have even been December. But if he launches those and it's got biological viruses and shit in them and they explode into the jet stream, and he does them a little west of where he is, China gets it, we get it, the west coast gets it pretty fucking hard, and depending on, just that shape of that jet stream, Washington tends to get that first, kind of Canada, and that edge, as it does its, swoop, sometimes it's fairly flat, and goes across, Washington, Oregon, California, pretty regular. And I doubt anybody would talk about it, especially the government. But when I started kind of thinking about it and putting pieces together, you put that shit in the airstream, and it does its floaty thing. Not to mention, people that already have it are flying around on airplanes and dragging it into the world anyway. It's highly suspicious to me. Now, is any of this real? I don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the absolute answer. However, when I caught that first cold around December or so, it was different. And then when I caught the big one a month ago, that was not, even though I tested negative for coronavirus, that was the strangest damn flu bug I've ever had. It's not my typical type of sickness. And obviously that's why they tested me for it. But it was strange. It was really weird. And my wife, she had kind of the same symptoms going along with headaches and a strange headache, not like a normal one. As you know, I get migraines real bad. But this thing was just a dull, constant thing. I know I have sinus issues, and especially being allergic to juniper, you know, whatever, but that's kind of not the same gig for what this thing was. And it felt pretty serious, and you know, I don't really go to the doctor unless it's like the last stinking resort, because I've got my own theories about that too. But so this stuff starts floating around, it's up in the airstream, and that little bastard goes into hiding. Well, I guess he ain't little, because he's the only one in that country eating, if you see any of the pictures. Nobody's seen him since. Now he goes into lockdown right after the CB thing starts hitting the airstream, and nobody can find his ass. Highly suspicious, you know? Nobody's seen him since either. Now that shit's been spinning around, floating around. We already know how long it lasts, you know, just floating around in the air. And, you know, I studied to be a collision repair technician and did a lot of painting and stuff like that. And, you know, that's how I know that even if you're wearing a mask, your eyeballs are like sponges. They'll soak up everything almost first. Obviously you're breathing and what have you, and so just wearing safety glasses does not protect you from a virus, a chemical thing. You have to have a full cupped goggle that's sealed to keep that stuff from getting in. I've known that, you know, for a long time, because that's what they taught us. But the symptoms of how I got sick and how bad I got sick, and now I'm, what, almost a month since I started feeling better. My lungs are still not back to normal. I can feel it. I know they aren't. Now, most people know I smoke, and so, you know, it can be said that, oh, it's because you smoke, that's different. This is completely different, and I can feel it. I know it. It's not the same, and I'm not back to the same. Normally, you know, you have a flu and you get to feeling whatever and feeling better, and things kind of go away. Now that those other symptoms, those headaches, those the joint pain, I mean intense joint pain, even in my feet, I never had anything like that. Everything, you know, every joint that moved hurt bad. And I'm fairly pain tolerant. I've had to live with arthritis most of my life, and you know, of course, the older I get, the worse it gets. But this was so strange, and so that's where my tinfoil hat thing comes in. Now, government, you know, they're pretty sneaky people, and of course they don't want to create panic and what have you. So think about the lesser of evils. they know something's coming. They blame it on the Chinese meat market, which could be. I mean, really, if North Korea put up one of those missiles west of there and it falls into that meat market because, you know, that's a happy place for that shit to grow, that might be a pretty opportune thing to say where it's coming. Then others say, well, it leaked out of a lab. Well, yeah, sure, that's possible. But not many people have thought about those rockets he's been putting up there and just exploding them into the jet stream anyway, and just above it. So, you know, some people say, oh, he's just practicing. Really? I don't think he's stupid. They've been working out how to stick it to everybody since the beginning almost. So, the government tells everybody to stay inside. Now put that piece on it. They know it's in the atmosphere. They know they can't protect everybody because you just can't. You're going to breathe the shit. And it's going to float around on the airstream and spin around and get caught into air currents and who knows where the hell it goes. So they say stay inside. Everybody stay inside. Because as it falls, if the majority of the population is indoors, even though we have heating systems and stuff like that, we have filters for it and what have you. Maybe some of the filters catch it, maybe some of the filters don't, but it just makes a lot of sense to me, because put the population inside and tell them not to be going outside unless you absolutely have to, is a lesser evil. At least in my mind of thinking. Like I said, I don't pretend to be a genius, but what I did think was kind of not really funny, but interesting thought is, and I'd been talking about what I'm saying now with my wife last year. And then I caught an article in the Washington Post. Now, I don't pay attention to the Washington Post mostly because they're one of those news outfits that just makes it up and gets paid to make shit up and whatever. But a little article in there that's getting zero press from anybody. And this was just a couple weeks ago that they were saying what I'm saying now. Okay? So I thought, you know what? I probably better get on here and put a little video together about it, just for the simple fact that I know I can't be the only one thinking of this stuff, but somebody else sure as hell did, and they had enough of something to put it in the paper. Now my sinuses are going crazy. Sorry about that. Interesting thought, isn't it? Everybody stays inside because there's something nasty floating on the air they obviously can't protect us about. Close everything so it doesn't spread, but they still know people are going to get it. And they still know instantly people are going to die from it. Now, some people have the thought that this is all a joke and this is all, you know, some kind of government conspiracy that's not real. Well, even though I've tested negative, there's that doctor that's been on a Today Show. He tested negative 4 times. Still contracted it through his eyeballs, and he damn near died. Now that's about as real as it gets, not to mention all the other folks that have gotten really sick laying in a hospital, and then there's still the people sitting around saying, oh, it's fake, it's not real, it's not, you know, it's some kind of joke. It isn't a joke. And I can tell you, even if what I got was a variant, I was still sick as shit and not normal. Not a normal flu, not a normal cold. Completely different thing than what I've ever had before. And nobody's going to sit around and tell me that that's not real. I know some other folks that they got it, and they got this crazy thing, and it's not normal, and they were really sick too. So if you think you're going to leave a comment that it's some kind of government horseshit, I think the only government horseshit here going on is the fact that Yin put it in the fucking air, and it's been floating around the world since. And if you notice, it started, even if you took North Korea and China first, it started spreading towards the east on the airflow. Okay? And whether that be aircraft that they say were going east first, whatever. And I'm not saying that couldn't happen either. Infected people flying all over the country, spreading the shit, and everybody keep their mouth shut, because that works too. We all know China's been trying to take this country forever and ever. That's a whole nother video, if you didn't know. And I'm not saying all Chinese people are bad. They're not. Some of them got some pretty messed up thinking, but, you know, that's their country they're standing in. Most of them don't know any different. So that kind of gets back to that thing I was saying before. If you're chewing at the table with your mouth open and most of the food you're chewing's falling out and staying in, eating like a pig at trough, but everybody at the table is eating the same way, does it make you wrong? It's only wrong from the outside. So, really, I just wanted to throw my tinfoil hat into the ring and say, could that be a possibility? Is that why? And is that why they know there's going to be a second round coming? Because, one, the mutation of this shit, plus he launches another couple of rockets into the airstream, and we get the next bout. And then we get the next bout because shit mutates. Because it's a different strain. Same bug, different strain. Is it possible? Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and mostly because I'm a little bit upset about it, really, to tell you the truth. I'm not upset that people are getting it, and I just kind of wanted to be clear about what I'm going to say first. Okay, so I'm in supply chain. I haven't started working my real job, if that's what you want to call it. Neither is my wife. I know lots of people that have not been laid off, suspended, let go because of the coronavirus and being shut in, and I'm glad to still have my job. I am. You know, I'm not saying anything about this, and I'm also not blaming the people that are getting the extra $1,200 a month in unemployment. Extra. Now, legitimately, I get it. You know, they don't know how long you're going to be out of work. They're not, you know, they're trying to help to put the balloon under the economy and still keep people spending. But that's a lot of goddamn money on top of your unemployment benefits. Now, the rest of us still working, we only got the stimulus check like all the same people that are still getting the extra $1,200 a freaking month. Bonus. What kind of bullshit is that? Really? You know? And we can't even get, you know, a tax cut on our fucking wages? You know? I go to work and I work pretty fucking hard for $350 a fucking week. You know? And there's lots of other people that do too and maybe make less than that. Which is normally about what people make on goddamn unemployment. You know, unless you're already making great big money and then you get max, you know, that probably puts you in that, you know, close to $2,000 a month bracket. But if you're making that kind of money to begin with and you didn't save any of it, you know, then that's your goddamn fault. But really, it pisses me off. It really does, you know. These fucking Democrats, they just, you know, and liberals, they just, I don't understand how their minds work. You know, I just don't. Used to be, Democrats had a, and I don't really want to get into the politics, all this shit, Republican, Democrat. I can tell you right now, I'm neither one of those things. I'm a fucking American. I'm somebody who still works in this country, and we got this shit because of the North and the South. And when they were trying to put the country back together, you still had your North and your South. Even though it was supposed to be a United States of America, they knew that wasn't going to fucking work because the stupidity of humanity and the bullshit that goes with all that, they still had to have a separation or it was never going to fucking work. That's why we got it, if you didn't know. Excuse me. And it's been a jacked up mess ever since because everybody's got their own ideas how to conquer the world, and none of them really matter for you and me because we're just the ones paying for it, and these people seem to think that they rule it all when they're supposed to be working for us. But that's besides the point. What I'm getting at here is, if you're a Democrat and you look at the stupid shit that they put on this stimulus package the first go-round, after Republicans, even some Democrats, good people, were thinking, you know, we're just supposed to help the people that have been paying for what we play with as far as a pile of money all these years. That's who they were trying to help. And then these sons of bitches, they got to play their games and they got to start doing uncalled for things that only make relatives of those bastards or friends, etc., their companies make millions of dollars off the government, which is what Democrats have been doing for a long, long time. A long time. And if you tell me I'm wrong, you better look up your own history and try real history, not just what they tell you. I'm not saying even all Democrats are bad people. They're good people, I'm sure, most of them. I don't understand how their mind works as far as finding it okay to want all this free shit, you know, or tack on idiotic things, solar panel, expansion money, whatever, for a fucking coronavirus to help the people because they're all out of work. See, it's that sort of shit. It's wrong. Wrong. And this last thing that just came out, if you can't read that and you're a Democrat and you see that horse shit they put in there, where they want to put the fucking money, and you see that and you go, oh, that's okay, that's great, awesome. Either you're in that field or you're related to it or something, because that's got nothing to do with helping prop the people that have lost their jobs, right? When you tie that link to just what this thing was supposed to do in the beginning, the stimulus thing, to help the people, A lot of that shit doesn't. But the Republicans had to bend over and drop their pants to get it through. Idiotic as it was. They didn't agree with that shit, but they had to agree to be able to get us what we got to begin with. And if you can still be a proud anything over some of that kind of underhanded shit, I got no use for you. I really don't. They've changed the rules for Social Security. They never pay back the money they take from it. They raised the age limit so that, and if you don't get this, what I'm going to say next, you got worse math problems than I do. They raised the retirement age, said, oh, everybody's living longer. That's a perfect excuse. Because they want you to die so they don't have to pay you a fucking dime out of what you've been paying. Don't you get it? But that's the excuse. People are living longer. So see, we'll just tie this in here. We'll change when you can retire and keep taking more money out of you. Bleed you some more. Bleed you some more. Keep taking it. And if you're lucky enough to live to 70, maybe you'll live to 73 and we've only had to pay 3 years of shit. And we still keep all the money. Okay? Let's say you die at 62. You don't get a fucking dime, they keep it all anyway. Really? Just a second. Skull. I know that's completely off on a tangent. I'm sorry. It bites my ass pretty hard too. The way this snaky shit happens and you can't do anything about it. And I'm sure even these stimulus packages weren't just free. Somehow we're going to have to pay that shit back. Governments have managed money like shit for many, many years, even generations. Personally, I'm not exactly a Trump promoter, but I think he has tried to do probably a better job of managing how to make us better than about anybody has. Now I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. But if you really look at what he's attempted to do, even though he's been fought so hard about it, because, you know, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, he's the fucking president. He won. So suck it up and shut the fuck up. Support him. Like we had to do when we fucking had Obama and the rest of those sons of bitches. What's the problem? He is trying to do good things, and he has done good things. And if you can make excuses out of it, why they weren't. Remember that whole judgment thing? Sitting around trying to figure out how it's okay to be a piece of shit. That's how it works. You look hard enough, you can find justification for anything. I'm not saying he's, you know, the best thing in the world. He's got his issues. They all have. Personally, a politician, to me, is about as close to the F word as being the same thing. You know? what I'm trying to get at here is the rest of us that have still been working real hard. What we make, trying to do what we can, pay our bills, keep our places, just like everybody else. But some of these people that are getting, let's just use a number. Let's say they're getting $400 a week on unemployment. It's never exactly what your wages were to begin with. Ever. It's just not. It's how it works. Well, some people on unemployment make more a week than I do busting my fucking ass for it. And there's lots of people just like me. And now they're getting $2,400 extra on top of that a month. Now, if you're a fucking Democrat, son of a bitch, and you think that that's okay, you're ignorant. Because I can tell you exactly what that does. It keeps those people that are making that kind of money unemployed. So that's about the biggest, ugliest, nastiest political thing to do to this fucking country that I could see at all. Because why the hell would you go back to work? Why the hell would you go back to work for $400 a week, if you're even making that much, when you're getting your $400 a week plus $2,400 bonus every month? And if you say that's okay, I mean, I'm glad people are getting it. I am. I swear to God. Well, I don't want to swear. I'm going to swear on the God. I'm happy for you. I really am. I'm happy that you're getting it. You better be hiding some of that shit. Because eventually it's going to run out and you ain't going to have it. And then you're going to be squawking about what they did to you by giving it to you. It's just disgusting. Disgusting. Well, the rest of everybody else that's still working doesn't get shit. And when it gets brought up, like for this second stimulus that's supposed to happen, fucking Democrats didn't even put it in their shit. They don't give a fuck. They just want to keep people down and keep the numbers down, thinking it'll fuck Trump on the next election. And a lot of these people go to church and consider themselves great Christians, great Catholics, great what the fuck ever. But they support shit like that, and that's what I was getting at. It's not how it works. Well, it's not how it's supposed to work. And I'm getting too excited. I'm sorry. Really, I am. It just, you know, do I want a little? Sure. Should everybody that's still working? What about all the hospital workers and stuff like that that's been putting in all the hours and trying to make sure people are, you know, taken care of to the best of their abilities? They didn't stop working either. Shouldn't they get something? If you're talking fairsies here, you know. You don't hear anybody talking like I am, and you probably won't. Disgusting is what it is, really, to me. It's disgusting. And it's disgusting that it had to happen. And it had to happen the way it did. But shouldn't everybody get a piece of something? You know? Instead of just the word I'm looking for? Behind the back, nasty political bullshit to stick it in and twist it because you can. It's really what it is. Just stick it in and twist it. And while you're at it, twist it and just break it off in there. Sorry, I know a lot of my stuff has been kind of like this lately, but if I don't get this shit out, I may explode too. And you know, I spend a little time on YouTube myself, not just watching me, but other things, because most of the news is so jacked up I won't watch it anymore. And I'm not saying everything on YouTube is good and straight and the right information. Christ, mine's probably all wrong too, but what you can do is, if there's 50 people, let's say, or more on YouTube, but let's just use 50. If there's 50 people on YouTube talking about something, and you take those 50 people and you glean what they're saying, and it, you know, starts making some sense, you know, if it's good thinking, and you put it in a separate pile. And then you take that information and you try to see what truth there is in it. If you take the 4, really, news companies, and I know there's more than that, but I want to say the 4 that hate Trump, hate anything outside of stuff that sells their shit. If you take those news broadcasters and you glean 4 people's worth of shit, how close are you going to get to the truth? Okay? Does that make sense? If I'm taking 50 people's information and trying to find out what the truth is, do you think I got a better chance of finding out what truth is? Or NBC and CNN and, you know, all that garbage. ABC, whatever. If you're taking 4 and I'm taking 50, especially if the 4 that you are watching are all saying the same thing, because they're all in cahoots and partners with each other, really, how good's your information? Okay? Really, I'm just trying to say, pay attention. Pay attention as best you can. But some of these things, you know, are really kind of horseshit. And no matter how deep you bury your head, if your ass is up, somebody's probably going to take advantage of that. Because guess what? You ain't going to see it coming, because you just got to put your head back in the sand and try and get all the information you can. Really. It's the only way you learn. Just because one person says something, even me, doesn't mean I'm right. I'm not trying to brainwash anybody. I'm not trying to tell them this is the only option. This is my thinking. It's the only way to go. It's not. And if you find something intelligent out of what I'm saying and you want to stay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hit that like button. Hit that bell if you want. Subscribe. I'm trying to be a little more consistent as best I can. Like I said, I still work a real job, and I got our homestead and shop work and everything else, so it's, you know, it's a little taxing, and I'm getting tired. Honestly, I'm just getting tired. I've done it to myself. I've got way too many projects going at once. because I'm trying to hurry. I'm trying to get as much absolutely done as I can, so it's better later. Appreciate you staying. Appreciate you listening. If you're still here, thanks for that again also. Mid-Guardian Workshop, out.